Good morning. Is this on enough? Thank you. My name is Joan, and I'm a member of the worship committee for this congregation. Welcome to First Parish, Kingston. It is so good to see you here joining us. If you're visiting, we especially want to say you're welcome, even if you're not familiar with us. And please, turn around and give a welcoming wave to all of us joining us on Zoom. Thank you. Thank you. I want to wish a special welcome and thank you this morning to our guest speaker in the pulpit. Linda Harding, our neighbor from the First Parish of Plymouth, is joining us today. She's been a practicing Unitarian Universalist since the 1990s, starting out in Boston. But for the past 25 years, she's been active in the Plymouth congregation on numerous committees, including the board, as well as a lay leader. She further applies her wide skill set as executive assistant to the president at Manomet Conservation Sciences. We put our words into action. As Unitarian Universalists, we are a people of diverse beliefs, but we share a common faith, a faith that every single person is worthy of love, a faith that what we do in and for this world right now is what really matters, and a faith that we are connected by an interdependent web to one another and to our earth home. So whoever you are, whomever you love, and however you make meaning out of the world around us, you are welcome here this morning. As our service begins, I invite you to get comfortable in your seat. If you haven't already, please turn off your cell phone. Hopefully, the only bells we'll hear are the intentional ones. And then, take a breath, a deep breath in and out. Once more, in and out. I invite Linda to bring you our offering words.
Gosh, I can't even tell you how happy I am to be here today and see so many familiar faces and so many faces I'm looking forward to connecting with after the service. I'm grateful for this invitation to lead the service. I'm also grateful for your thoughtfulness and your inquiry that you bring to worship services and the listening. It's easier to speak into a listening than it is, I don't know. I'm grateful for your listening. I needed to know that. So I've been enriched by our shared services that we've been leading over the summer services, our collaboration. I'm not a poet, a theologian, I'm not an intellectual speaker, but many, like you, I'm on a journey or quest to be the very best version of myself. And being a Unitarian Universalist helps me with that. In these uncertain and unprecedented times, the events I hear in the daily news continue to shake me. How about you? A little? One Sunday, I want to give you a little preview of what we'll be talking about during my service. One Sunday in January during coffee hour, my friend Valerie sat beside me and asked, "What's going on in America?" Now, Valerie's British, so she always says, "What's going on in America? It's just awful." I don't know what to do. Do you? At that moment, I was struggling with the same question as she was, but it's interesting how, once we commit to wrestling with a big life question, we begin seeing hints and tips and signs that lead us to an answer. For instance, that Sunday afternoon, it said, choose love. Choose love on a football player's helmet, watching them tackle each other to the ground? What's this all about? Well, I did a Google search, and I'll share with you what I learned shortly. Today I wanted to share with you my journey of exploring our Unitarian Universalist shared values of keeping love at the center. And I really want to thank Rich, who did a summer service that talked about that value in responding as a governing board member to the vandalism that happened here. But keeping love at the center, how it's guided me through what to do when I don't know what to do. And I want to share with you also a personal change of heart that happened on this journey. This service was originally planned for February 1st, but it was canceled or rescheduled because of the snow. So what I'm going to be sharing with you are a lot of inferences and references to January events. We're just going to have to include that as we go along. So here's our opening words from Dorothy Day. Dorothy Day was, before I read the words, Dorothy Day was an American journalist, a social activist, and a co-founder of the Catholic Workers Movement. How am I doing back there? Are we hearing? Okay, great. She was a former Bohemian journalist. She combined radical activism with faith to serve the poor and advocate for labor rights and social justice. So here's her reading from the back of the UU hymnal. It's called Commitment. People say, what is the sense of our small effort? They cannot see that we must lay one brick at a time. A pebble cast into a pond causes ripples that spread in all directions. Each one of our thoughts, words, and deeds is just like that. No one has the right to sit down and feel helpless. There is way too much work to do. Now it's time for our chalice lighting.
Would someone like to come up and light the chalice for us? Oh, yes. The words, as we light this chalice, come from Lisa Garcia Sampson. As we light this chalice, we kindle the spirit of the great turning, the movement for justice alive in the nation today. May we feel it in our bones, and in the stillness of this hour, may we sense it calling our name. Please rise as you're willing and able to join us in our first and opening hymn, number 34, Though I Speak with Bravest Fire.
And I'd like to offer this prayer. Spirit, draw near and wrap us in your calming presence as we go through life transitions, as we celebrate joys, as we grieve the loss of dear ones. Spirit, remind us that each of us has an endless capacity of love, and remind us to use that love's transformative power in our relationships with one another. Amen. Let's take a moment of silence.
When we give, we say yes to something that we value. In this congregation, we take up an offering each week to say yes to the values of our UU faith and yes to this beloved community. You may place your offering in the plate as it passes, or you may give to the church via Venmo. There's a QR code in your order of service. If you do give via Venmo, please make sure to write one of two things in the memo line. If your contribution is part of your annual pledge to support the church, please write pledge. Otherwise, please write plate in that memo line for the plate that we pass among you. Give as you're able. Know that all that you give is valued and appreciated. Our musical offering today is Love Has Already Won.
To sure as the day greets the morning sun. Love has already won. Be not afraid, love has already won. Be not afraid, love has already won. Love has already
May it be so. Our reading this morning comes from Reverend Dr. Kimmy Floyd Reich, a mixed-race voice and longtime LGBTQ advocate. Kimmy brings more than 2 decades of experience in public theology, movement building, and creating spaces of healing, justice, and beloved community. I've got to ask a question before I read her words. Who's familiar with the, I understand, edgy series, Stranger Things? Oh, we'll see you after the service. And here's what Dr. Kimmy says. I spent New Year's Eve watching the conclusion of Stranger Things. The show did not hook me with any one character or any one act of courage or a single heroic moment that fixed everything. In fact, I loved the show because there was no single leader, no savior who carried the story alone. Even the magic was never just in 11. That's capitalized. It must be a name. It was in the family and friendships of the entire group. Each person had a role, a particular set of skills, and a way of showing up that mattered in how they could resist and stand together down to the youngest member. Some were brave, some were smart, some just stayed when leaving likely would have been easier, and some were jerks. Well, at least some of the time. What saved them was not one extraordinary sacrifice, but the fact that they kept coming back to stand together. Like the sound of these bells, all in one. And that feels like an important place to begin this year. We're often taught to imagine the pendulum of justice coming in a single wave, a decisive protest, or one clear moment that changes the world. But real societal change rarely works that way. It is collective and uneven because it unfolds through relationships, not heroics. Transformative justice is many people offering what they have when they can and trust that shared commitment over time is what will carry us through the hard moments. It is sustained by ordinary people doing unremarkable things without certainty that their efforts will succeed in their own lifetime. Justice moves at the speed of commitment.
First, Tony and choir. That was a wonderful choice today. Love has already won. Thank you so much for that. So earlier I mentioned on the back of the NFL helmets, the words "Choose Love." So I did Google it, and I wanted to share the background of that. Does anyone know? Okay. It was news to me also. This phrase gained widespread attention after Damar Hamlin wore "Choose Love" on his own helmet following his cardiac arrest in January 2023, turning it into a symbol of resilience and the power of community support. Choose Love is a message about how we respond to one another in moments of challenge and uncertainty. Now, the NFL later embraced Choose Love along with Be Love as part of their social justice messaging, highlighting it as a call to empathy, dignity, and shared humanity, values closely associated with the teachings of Martin Luther King Jr. Today's players can choose to wear it or not. At its heart, the slogan "Choose Love" reminds us that love is not simply a feeling, but a decision. For Unitarian Universalists, from now on, as I talk, I'm going to say UUs. For UUs, keeping love at the center, or choose love, is familiar to us. It's our core value. To live it does require a focused commitment. We all make split-second decisions every day. How we're going to act or react to an individual or a circumstance. Choosing love becomes easier when it's put into daily practice. First, remembering our commitment to keeping love at the center and replacing one familiar response with a focused new response. It's as basic as creating new habits. Let me give you an example. The other day, I'm driving down Warren Avenue in Plymouth. It's about 40 miles an hour, taking my time. And a car comes speeding up behind me and cuts me off and flies through a yellow light. I'm thinking, what the? I'm angry, I'm upset, my heart's beating. Then I remember I'm focusing on learning about keeping love at the center. That's my journey that month. So I stop, I take a deep breath, and I say a prayer for the safety of that driver. And immediately, I'm calm. I'm at peace. Our core belief, our core faith, is that when we think of others first, we are happier and at peace, yes? I've got a couple of stories for you about people kind of on the same journey. I had an email from my sister. Her name is Mimi. She sent me this aha moment that she had. She went on to say, since I retired, all I want to do is sew and create. I love sewing. But on the other hand, I feel like I'm not using my time to make a difference with other people. So she said she started scrolling through YouTube, and this video came up about how to use your talents. She says after watching the video, she realized that she was making a difference, because what she was doing with her sewing was making these beautiful handcrafted lap quilts, and she would gift them to people who were having benchmarks in their lives, babies being born, marriages, moving to a new house, recovering from an illness. And her revelation was she didn't realize that something she enjoyed so much, a hobby, was making a difference to other people. She was doing that all along, and now she considers it more of a mission, more of a ministry, and she started sewing in little tags in her quilts with words of inspiration. Here's another story, and this one came from Audacity.com, and this story made national news. A Minneapolis high school student is helping classmates in a unique way. Because Hispanic students are fearful of federal immigration efforts across the Twin Cities, and even concerned that they may be swept up by ICE agents for simply trying to get to school, this student, his name is Jackson Schultz, shared that he started giving rides to school. He said, when kids aren't able to go to school because they're afraid of being taken, it's just very difficult to see. And Schultz said, and I take it, it's my responsibility to help them in any way that I can. And in this case, it's just giving them rides. And that's the least I can do to help. Not all of us, UUs, not all of us citizens, will participate in marches. Not all of us will write our representatives. Not all of us will feed and home the homeless. Or support local immigration populations. But some of us will. Keeping love at the center reminds us to do what we can, when we can, as an expression of our love. It's all of us together committed to keeping love at the center that makes an exponential difference in healing our world. Sometimes it's just the simplest things. To keep an open mind in a conversation, to write a note, to deliver a meal. Other times, shaping our day is thinking about our responses consciously, thinking out the day. Here's a paraphrase from the Course in Miracles. Anyone familiar with the Course in Miracles? Here's a paraphrase from the Course in Miracles. Each day, ask yourself, what am I doing? What is it for? And who does it serve? When we're committed to a life of choosing love, love becomes the purpose behind the action. My church, First Parish, has an active social action committee. It's one of our largest committees. They sign postcards on Friday nights. They encourage the congregation to show up to protest. They collect food and supplies to fill backpacks for children. They sponsor free movie night to educate the community on issues. They have their own newsletter to let us know what's going on and how we can have a voice in issues. There must have been a list of 20 activities that they sponsored last year. Mother Teresa is quoted as saying, if you don't know what to do, you can always do something. That's a very similar message as Dorothy Day, our opening words. And Mother Teresa also is quoted as saying, it's not how much you do, it's how much love you put into the doing. This is starting to sound like a social action service. Does this sound like a social justice service? When I first started to going to the UU church, I dreaded social action Sundays. I often felt like I was being preached at and being asked to join another cause, and I would leave church feeling overwhelmed. Is this a social action service? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Maybe it's about being human and the challenges we face to walk the path of love. You can let me know at coffee hour what you think. I'm reminded of a Sufi poem by Hafiz. It goes like this. The subject tonight is love, and for tomorrow night as well. As a matter of fact, I know of no better topic to discuss until we die. Well, moving on to the service, when I first joined Unitarian Universalist Church, I learned that the focus was the prophetic message. I looked that up on the UUA website just recently. The prophetic message is a call to action, emphasizing justice, equity, and compassion in the present world rather than predicting the future. And UUs draw on prophetic voices from the Judeo-Christian tradition, like Isaiah, the prophet Micah. But they also look to contemporary prophets and leaders who have demonstrated courage in fighting for human rights. I'm going to bring up one of my favorite Old Testament prophets, Micah. Although he lived thousands of years ago, he was also living in the times of social crisis. In his times, wealthy landowners and powerful leaders were taking land away from small farmers, pushing families into poverty and debt. Judges accepted bribes, rulers abused their authority, religious leaders supported injustice rather than challenged it. Sound familiar? My grandmother used to say, "Linda dear, nothing new is under the sun." So cities grew richer at that time. Many rural people like Micah himself lost their homes and livelihoods. Micah, an ordinary farmer, would come into the city square, stand on his soapbox, so to speak, and declare universal truths. Here's his best-known passage. It comes from Micah 6:8. And this is the New International Version. "Oh, what does the Lord require of you? To act justly and to love mercy and to walk humbly with your God." The text says to act justly and to love mercy, which seems like it's two different things, but they are not. To Micah, justice meant standing with those who were pushed aside, the widow, the orphan, the immigrant, and the poor, and using power to protect the most vulnerable rather than exploit them. In our modern world, justice and mercy becomes a way we can choose love by acting with courage, fairness, and compassion when it matters most. Here's what I learned. There is a word, a Hebrew word called mishpat, M-I-S-H-P-A-T. It's kind of a combination, a merger of justice and mercy. It shows up over 200 times in the Old Testament under the books of law and in the words of the prophets. Over and over again, mishpat describes taking up the care and cause of widows, orphans, immigrants, and the poor. Mishpat is an action word, applying mercy to justice. Mishpat begins in commitment. To place love at the center means showing up as a responsibility. To paraphrase Tim Keller, a minister at the Redeemer Presbyterian Church, mishpat inevitably is social because it's about right relationships. It's day-to-day living in which a person conducts all relationships in family and society with fairness, generation. Let me say that again. So mishpat is inevitably social because it's about right relationship. It's day-to-day living in which a person conducts all relationships in family and society with fairness, generosity, and equity. In my personal life, I can see it speaking up when someone is treated unfairly, even when it's uncomfortable. Making decisions that consider impact, not just convenience, and holding myself to ethical standards, even when no one is watching. So in conclusion, what is there to do when I don't know what to do? Remind myself that my purpose on this planet is to love and serve. Also, belonging to a community like this, people who have the similar values, where people are committed to heal the world, that is so powerful. I saw this text in a prayer. And in all that we do, may we remember that we are not alone, but bound together in shared humanity, held in love, called to be love in the world. This to me is being part of a UU community. And lastly, to strive to live mishpat, understanding that love shows up as responsibility in action. Ask myself, who am I to serve today? Treat everyone with the same fairness, generosity, and love. Justice without love becomes rigid. Love without justice becomes fragile. Mishpat holds them together. I had my own clarity, my own moment of clarity while exploring this topic and writing the sermon. Honestly, if you haven't led a lay-led service, think about it, because I had so much learning and personal growth from just preparing something like this. But anyway, I had my own moment of clarity while exploring this topic, what I can only call a change of heart. I choose to offer extra love and compassion to family members with whom I disagree politically, just as intentionally as I offer love to those who share my views and values. And for in choosing love, even in disagreement, we help heal what is broken in our families, our communities, and our world. Thank you so much for your listening. Thank you for your commitment to be the best version of yourself and to walk together in love. Blessed be. Musical meditation.
Love is a many splendored thing. And in the first announcement this morning, you have a chance to express it, making a joyful noise next Saturday with the Justice Choir. Yes, yes. The choir is part of a network all over the country, mobilizing local folks who care, singers or not, because if you can speak, you can sing. You don't have to worry about the notes. In this size choir and in the size of the crowds that are likely to be along Water Street next Saturday for the No Kings March, say the words, because then everybody will understand them as they're listening to the music. Just show up. Just show up. 12:30 at the top of Leiden Street, near Town Square, Plymouth Town Square. If you want more information, Rosemary Donahoe has it at coffee hour, and there is a table by the fireplace with a copy of the words to some of the songs. Some are chants. So literally, once you learn the first 5 words, you've got the whole song over and over and over again, right? That came first because it says so much about what we've listened to today. The second also relates to music. It's our search for a new music director, and it has begun. In the weekly newsletter and on social media, we have posted the link for that search. Please share widely with anyone you think might be interested in the job. And reach out to Reverend Emily if you have any questions. All of you are welcome to join us for coffee hour at the Beale House across the street. If you're visiting, please sign No, not sign. Well, yeah. Check out Info Island, because there may be things you want to sign up for, like email contacts, a name tag, an event, flowers, refreshments. There's so many ways to act our love. Please rise as you're willing and able for our closing hymn, following Linda's introduction.
Thank you, Joan. So it's hymn number 131 in the gray hymnal. And if you look at the bottom, sometimes I never look at the bottom. This bottom corner here, the words were written by Sally Rogers. And Sally Rogers is a folk singer, songwriter from, maybe for 40 years, and she's still performing today. But the tune, you see, is called Olympia. And I understand that was named for Olympia Brown, who was the first woman minister, yes, ordained by the Universalist Society, yeah. And being the first woman minister, like many before her and many since, she was warned, an explanation was given. Nevertheless, she persisted. She was an activist, and I think she lived to see women get the vote. I heard that one of her first churches was in Weymouth Landing, is that right? Yep, just down the street. So, yay, Olympia. So, I'm ready for the tune. Hymn number 131, Stand As You're Able. Dear Kingston congregation, such a pleasure to be worshiping with you. May the love, and I offer you this benediction, may the love which overcomes all differences, which heals all wounds, which puts to flight all fears, which reconciles all who are separated, be in us and among us now and always. God bless.